Welcome to the Engaging Classroom.
Making it work.
So speaking of making it work, we've spent a bit of time talking about industry partnerships, but really what I want to focus on this time is kind of making it work inside the school, maybe without that partnership outside. And I think there are a few techniques that teachers can bring to the school, to the classroom, to kind of help with making it work, making students feel a bit more welcome in the school, making things feel relaxed, but still a learning environment.
Yeah, kind of the whole point.
Yeah, kind of the whole point. And one of the big things that as a teacher, I feel I did a lot to kind of build comfort with my students, to build comfort with other teachers, was visiting other classrooms. So we were fortunate. We had about an hour and a half for classes, which meant our planning period was an hour and a half.
Yeah. And if we had lunch, even longer.
And if we had lunch, it was even longer.
I always took third period planning for that.
Yeah, I took first period planning because I wasn't awake yet in the morning. But during that time, if I didn't feel like grading or if I had my plans done for the day, one of the things I would do is walk over to your class or walk over to one of our teammates' class and just interact with the students, walk around, be seen.
Yeah.
This was big for me because I came in a bit later than the rest of the engineering team. And so a lot of the kids didn't know me yet. I also taught a lot of the juniors and seniors while you would teach freshmen.
Yep.
And they wouldn't see me, those freshmen wouldn't see me until, maybe two years into their academic career at high school.
They wouldn't have you as a teacher.
Wouldn't have me as a teacher.
Yeah. I think they knew you. We talked about you. They would see you. And some of them would have your computer science class as freshmen.
That's true.
After a certain point.
Yeah. And I was also a really loud teacher.
Yeah.
I remember students or teachers coming to me and saying, man, the students are scared of you because you just yell all the time. And my response would be, good. They should be scared of me. But no, I wanted to make sure that they weren't scared, make sure that they knew that as a teacher, I was loud but more approachable. And one of the ways I would do this is I'd walk over to your class or a teammate's class and just walk up to the students, ask what they're doing. Be seen, really, in the class. I remember a few times I would walk over to our coworker. They would do a robotics project where they had to build a robot and then they had to program it in C. And a lot of those students hadn't met me yet. So I'd walk over there and just walk up behind, ask them what they were doing. They were very intimidated because I was another adult that they had never met before. They didn't know why I was there. And but just ask what they were doing.
If it intimidated them, if it was something that put them on edge while they were working, why do it?
Because they need to not be intimidated. They need to know that the response from our conversation is going to be helpful or is going to be kind so that they don't see me as necessarily judging their work.
Yeah.
I think that's actually one of the big things about visiting another teacher's class is I'm not grading them.
Yeah.
So when I go over, I'm just asking them how they are. I'm getting them used to talking to an adult, telling me what they're doing in class, and occasionally asking me questions. One of my favorite things was you or another teacher would be helping a student. A kid in the class would raise their hand. I'd just walk over and be like, hey, what's your question? And I would have oftentimes no idea how to answer it. But just listening to them explain their problem and kind of walking through some of the problem solving skills that we had taught them would be helpful to them. And sometimes we'd get to a solution. Sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes I would have to call you over and then listen to you explain it so that then I could explain it to the next kid.
We have a friend, mutual friend, who for a long time was a fourth grade teacher, and he taught in a class with a co-teacher.
Yeah.
And I've never experienced that outside of what you're describing, where we would sometimes be in each other's rooms, but where you always had the same person in the room with you. And it really helps, I think, to have that second set of hands of someone else that can catch the question, that can pacify the student for a moment and get them to think about what they're really trying to ask.
Right. Because in that moment, like I said, I'm not the teacher of the class.
Right.
When they see me, even if I can help them, they don't necessarily see me as the person who is going to help them. So they can kind of talk me through their problem a bit. I can ask them questions about what they're going to do and kind of do some of that pacifying, kind of talking to them a bit before you get to them.
Right. Reminds me of playing a video game and getting stuck on a level somewhere. And I'll turn to my wife and I'll say, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I am. I can't figure this out. And she has no idea.
Right.
She's watching, or she's on her phone, and she says, well, tell me what you're trying to do. Walk me through it. And I literally, in the process of walking her through the level, the area, whatever I'm on, the answer pops out.
Yeah. The answer pops out.
So you feel like that happens a lot when you
I
were
do.
able to visit the other classrooms.
I feel like it happens a lot. I feel like it goes back to that building that relationship with the kids. Some of them probably found it a little annoying, but
Maybe.
hey, that's okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they have to get used to talking to adults. They have to get used to talking to other people about what they're doing, the work that they're doing. The other thing that I would do a lot of is I would go over while like you were teaching something, going over a PowerPoint, and stand in the back of the room and ask questions that I knew other students had in the room, but were too scared to ask. To basically show like, no, it's okay to be asking these questions. Here I am, an adult, a teacher, also asking these questions, figuring it out, modeling the practice of asking questions. I actually had in college, I had a good friend who would be too intimidated to ask questions, thinking that they were dumb questions. I specifically remember in music history, he would turn to me and say, like, when was this composer born? Or whatever the question was. And I'd say, like, I have no idea. And I'd raise my hand and ask the question. Because I think students in general get so caught up in the idea of not being perceived as unintelligent that they're too intimidated to ask the question. And so if I ask the question for them, hey, cool. And you're not going to get, well, maybe you will get mad at me, but you're not going to get annoyed with me.
Well, I think it also depends on the colleagues that you have. And the situation that we had was, it was like a team. And a lot of schools have that, where you work in a department or in an area with a team of people.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that is the kind of response that you'll get from your teammate is, yeah, please come over, sit in the classroom, observe even.
Yeah.
We would do a lot of peer observation too.
We would. And some of that was really helpful because you had gone to the college that a lot of the people on our team had been to.
Yeah.
So you were able to relate to them. You were a student teacher for some of them, or you were the
I
teacher.
was the cooperative teacher.
You were the cooperative teacher. They were your student teachers. I never did this. I just walked over and was like, hey, what are you guys doing? It might be a good idea to ask first.
It's always a good idea to ask first. But if you're in a good team, you know that that's kind of it's an open door policy that a lot of people will have like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were a good team. Knowing your coworkers, knowing what they're okay with.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, We had teachers down the hall, social studies teachers, English teachers. I would never have stepped into their class without asking first.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I think after being there for a while, I got to the point where I would do that.
Yeah.
But I knew them, and I knew that they were of the same mentality already. Or maybe I'd even just kind of at the start of the year told them, "Hey, I'm going to swing by at some point during the year or whatever."
Yeah.
It is good. Get that permission first.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely get that permission first.
All this comes back to this idea of building a level of comfort with students. You're not their friend.
No.
There's still a teacher-student relationship there.
Yeah.
When I walk over into the class, I'm allowed to walk around the room. I don't have to ask the teacher for permission to walk around the class. I'm still an adult. When the student raises their hand, I can still walk over and talk to them. Maybe not necessarily answer their question.
Yeah.
But I can talk to them about the question. I show interest in what the students are doing so that they understand I'm not just interested in my class. I'm not interested in what the students are learning or just interested in what the students are learning in my class. I'm interested in what the students are learning holistically.
Sure.
Across the school.
Yeah.
And it also provides me a chance to interact with you, to kind of model two adults interacting with each other.
Right. It gives you the opportunity to model for the students the kind of relationships that you want them to have in a professional setting.
Yes.
And as CTE teachers, career and technical education, it's not just about the technology or the engineering. It's about how do you function in a workforce.
Right. Because in that moment when I go over and interact, or when you're going over a PowerPoint, I don't walk to the front of the room. I don't interrupt what you're doing. I will walk to the back of the room. I will watch what you're doing. I'll watch your presentation. Every now and then I'll glance and look and see if the kids are looking at me, and I will indicate, no, hey, look, pay attention. Modeling this idea that even though I'm the adult in the room, you're the one in charge and we're doing that interaction.
Right.
And then if I have a question, raise my hand. I'll ask you the question in a professional way. Modeling that kind of that friendship, that partnership that we have as adults.
Yeah, the collaboration.
The collaborative environment, yeah.
One of the things that I really liked about it, and this would be the same for if I had, a principal in there observing, or as a throwback, a vice principal or an assistant principal in there observing. They always wanted to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
And often when teachers will go in and observe another teacher or see another teacher or just be in the room with another teacher, like you said, you don't want to be a distraction. And I personally would involve you in the conversation, in the discussion, to reinforce that collaboration, to reinforce that knowledge of this other person is in the room and they have a say in what's happening, just like the students do. And so to involve you in that conversation, or the principal or assistant principal or whoever was in there observing, to loop them in. To me, it always felt ridiculous to avoid the person that was in the room. I'd rather involve them in it.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. I think when I go visit a class, I don't want to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
I want to be interacting with students, interacting with the teacher, as long as I'm not taking away from the lesson. I want to be hearing from the students what they're doing. I want to be asking questions. I want to be talking to them about their work, showing them the importance of it, rather than just sitting back and observing.
Yeah. You do observe teachers now in your new role at the Friday Institute. What's that like, and how is that different from you being another teacher going into a room when we were both in teaching?
This is tough because when I am a teacher, when I'm a collaborator with you, I can better interact with students. I am still a collaborator. I still walk in to that room as a teacher. I may not be the teacher of that subject, but I'm still modeling interactions with another teacher. I'm modeling how do you ask questions.
Right.
When I am at the Friday Institute and I go observe a teacher, I don't want to bring something to the class that's not normally there. I want to see the teacher kind of in their environment because generally the result of this will be some report I'm doing, some maybe it's the introduction to a coaching session where I'm going to talk to the teacher afterwards. So that initial observation, I would just be observing. Then the second time I would say, do you mind if I walk around? Do you mind if I do this? Talk to your students, interact. And then that would open that door. But once again, that goes back to, even if I was talking to a teacher, if I was going to just pop into a class, asking that permission first.
Would you think of yourself as more of a fly on the wall, observing in those situations versus how it was before when you were observing like a teacher in another room?
When I go in and observe, I'm observing to help.
Right.
I'm observing to collect information about professional development that they've been through, the results of that professional development. I'm observing to see where could we improve? Like, where might I have input that you could do something different?
Cool.
But it's coaching.
Yeah.
It's not grading. It's like the difference between a formative and summative assessment.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what are your key takeaways for this?
So my key takeaways is the reason you do this is, one,
What is this?
the reason you go to another teacher's class.
Okay.
One, you want to build comfort with students, talk to students, make them or get them to know you better so that they feel more comfortable around you.
Okay.
Model that problem-solving method with students. Walk through, ask them a question. Like if they have a question, walk through that problem solving. And also model that collaboration between two adults in a working setting.
Yeah.
So model that interaction of me talking to you as another teacher so that they can see that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, it's been great having you guys join us for this shorter version of our podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you have questions, please leave them in the comments.
Yeah.
Thanks to Duke for letting us use this studio again, and for the Friday Institute for helping us out with all the other things that we do. Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.